FOMO.
My name is Patrick J. McGinnis, and I'm a FOMO Sapiens. And since you're here, I'm going to bet that you are too. And when you're like us and Monday comes around, you don't dread the new week. No, you wake up every Monday morning knowing that this week might just be the best one yet. This is FOMOnday, the snackable show that starts your week right with hot takes, life hacks, listener mail, and even some FOMO therapy. Hey everybody, welcome to FOMOndays, the snackable companion show to FOMO Sapiens, which of course will be back on Thursday with a new episode. But until then, happy FOMOnday, best day of the week. I'm your host, Patrick J. McGinnis, venture capitalist by day, podcaster by night, and FOMO Sapiens 24/7. Now, also actor apparently. I mean, that's new. So last week I talked about FOMA, fear of missing audience, because we've launched a campaign together with Mercado Ads, which is part of Mercado Libre, which is, I believe, the largest technology company in Latin America. E-commerce, payments, all this other stuff. Amazing company, listed on the NASDAQ. I'm not giving stock advice, but it's MELI. Go check it out. It's a really large company, like $10 billion in revenue. So anyway, went down to Argentina to film a commercial with them. My first commercial. And there was some acting in it. And I learned something very important that I want to share on today's episode, what I call the Tao of Billy Bob Thornton. I'm going to talk about that a little bit. But before I do talk about that lesson, which I've been employing in my life, I just want to tell you about this experience because it was really amazing. So let me tell you what happened. So here's how it all went down. Now, what's interesting about this is that these guys had no idea if I could do what they wanted me to do. I mean, I am not a professional actor. Yes, I do speaking, I do podcasting, stuff like that, but it's a whole different animal. Even if you're playing yourself, I found out. So the point of this ad was that Patrick McGinnis talks about FOMO and FOMA and tells you how to deal with it. It's an affliction that marketers get when they're trying to reach an audience and not sure if they can. And then, there are some solutions that Mercado Ads provides that alleviate that problem. So that's the ad. And the ad, there's a bunch of different versions, but the 60-second version is the full thing. You can go check that out on my Instagram at Patrick J. McGinnis, on my LinkedIn. Just Google it. It's all over the place. So anyway, the ad kind of starts out in an office building, and then there's some street scenes, and then I'm walking around interacting with a bunch of people who don't see me. I'm sort of like this ghost, as it were, talking about the problems these people are facing as marketers. And then I eventually find myself walking up some stairs, talking to the camera about solutions. And then I end up on a roof of a building where I then hit a golf ball off of the roof towards a drone, which flies away, and boom. So it's really something. And what's cool about it is it was filmed in Argentina, in Buenos Aires, downtown, and some places that I had been before. So it was filmed in the former WeWork. I'd been to that WeWork many years ago. It's like, wow, this is crazy that I'm back here. And then it was overlooking from the roof. I could see where I had my first job in college. As a college student, I had an internship at an insurance company. I was looking right down on it. It was kind of wild. I was like, wow, this is a full circle moment for me. Now, how does one make a commercial? So I get down to Argentina. The first day was just sort of wardrobe. So we tried on a bunch of clothes, and they picked out, these people are very good at what they do. They picked out this very snappy looking suit for me. Something I would have never chosen for myself, but that I think looks really nice. Then they took pictures of me to send it to the client to make sure that we were all happy with the look, because of course the client is a partner in making the commercial, right? So they're providing feedback and thoughts as we go along. And then I sat down with the director, Fran Colombati, and he told me the secret of the Tao of Billy Bob Thornton, which I will tell you about in a minute. And that was the first day. And they gave me the script, and we worked on the script to finalize it and, just optimize it and stuff like that for language and other things. And then, I went home and went to bed early, slept myself like 10 hours or something, woke up the next morning, and they gave me a really amazing guy to drive me around. So this guy, Mirko, so he took me in the morning to where they were filming. And of course, they had all this food. That's the best part of this whole thing. Craft services. They knew what I liked. They got it. So, we were eating delicious things. And then we just started filming. And, you don't film of course, in the order that the commercial goes, because it depends on like weather outside, and it was going to rain that day and all kinds of things like that. So you kind of just film it in random order. And then every scene I would learn my line, and then we would just, film it a billion times. And there were all these people working. So it was crazy because there were like extras, there was actors who had been cast. There were, I don't know, probably 20, 30 people who were on screen, let's say, in different ways during the commercial. And then there's a whole crew, just like it was amazing. So I don't know how many people, but at least 50, 60, 70 people. There's a person holding the boom and the cameras and just a million different folks. Somebody just to help if I needed something, say I need a lot of water because I was talking, right? So they would just make sure I always got a water, which was super nice. Makeup, hair, all the things. So it was just kind of wild. I've never seen anything quite like that. Or, I've seen it, but I haven't been part of it. And so we did that for 2 days. And at one point, at the end of the first day, and you'll see this at the end of the commercial, I'm on the roof of a building. What you don't see is I'm wearing a harness because there were no sort of like railings. And I'm swinging a golf club, and it's really, really cold outside. And because it was still like spring in Argentina. So there I am, and it was windy. And we had tried to put like a little green, like a little rug that looked like a golf green up there. But there was so much wind, it would have blown it off. And if it hit somebody on the street, it would kill them. So we had to get rid of that. And it was just, it was kind of nuts. And between the takes, I had to wear a bathrobe because I was so cold. And we were up there for hours because we wanted to get the light and a lot of different takes. We tried a million different things. I said it a million different ways. So it really, when you see that scene, just know a lot of blood, sweat, and tears to get that. I mean, there was a sound person up there with me, like crouching, hiding behind this little mini wall. It was just a whole situation. Super fun, super bonding. You have the director giving you directions, I guess is what one would say. And you're just up there and you have no idea if any of it is even usable. So that was day 1. Day 2, similar thing. We ended it in the elevator scene, which you can see in the ad. We were all in there forever. It was so claustrophobic, but we did it together and it came out really well. Now, I want to talk about, as I said, the whole point of this episode, besides just sharing that with you, is to talk about the Tao of Billy Bob Thornton. So I will talk about that right after this break. FOMO. FOMO. All right, folks. Okay, the Tao of Billy Bob Thornton. This is what I want to talk about. I think about this all the time now. So on the first day that I got there, right after we did this wardrobe test, the director, his name is Francisco Colombati. You can find him on Instagram. You can find him online. He's really talented. He's made some really beautiful commercials. So when I saw his stuff, I was like, whoa, this guy, he's amazing. So go check him out. Google him. Or just go to francolombati.com. That's double T at the end there. And you'll see what we're talking about. And so he said, listen, Patrick, I watched a bunch of your videos and stuff. I've listened to your podcast. So I kind of get your vibe. I want to do something slightly different. And I was like, what? Why? What, you don't like my vibe? He said, no, we will do some with your vibe. But I have this vision for the commercial that it starts off kind of menacing. And then at the end, it's happy because you're telling us about a problem. And then we're solving the problem. But more than that, you're not trying to you're not scary. You sort of just, you have this Billy Bob Thornton and Fargo thing going on. Now, I don't watch the show Fargo. So he said, let me pull up a video. And he did. And he didn't send it to me. He's smart because he knows I would watch it 38,000 times to prepare. And then I would just basically be BBT, Billy Bob Thornton. But we watched it together. And the vibe of Billy Bob, it's an episode where he's been stopped by a cop and the cop's going to arrest him. And he says to the cop, like, basically, you don't want to do this because it's going to be bad for you. And I don't know why that is because I don't watch the show, but I assume Billy Bob Thornton has some secret powers or something. So he says, you could arrest me, but if I were you, I'd get back in your car and drive home and just forget about this. That's kind of the vibe, which is so different than me. So the first line of the commercial is, you probably heard about FOMO. Well, normal old Patrick McGinnis would say, you probably heard about FOMO, like all happy. BBT, Billy Bob Thornton, doesn't do that. He does. You probably heard about FOMO. And we had two versions. We had like one that was more menacing, BBT2, and the normal Billy Bob Thornton, which is BBT. And so when we filmed every scene, Fran would say, Patrick, can you be a little bit more Billy Bob on this one? And I knew where to go with that. Now, why is this such an important lesson? Well, other than the fact that you learn that directors actually do really important things and that a good director is everything, like Fran is. I mean, he got a performance out of me that I didn't know I could even give. Number two is it goes to the notion of doing less and holding back. So after this Billy Bob Thornton thing, I started experimenting with BBT in my life and in my work. So, I'm a maximalist, everybody, and I am very enthusiastic. But if I deploy the Billy Bob, it has a power. It's a new range. It's a new timbre to what I do. So if I'm on stage, my typical demeanor is kind of very outgoing, extroverted, up, happy kind of guy. If I throw the Billy Bob in there, people listen in a different way. So I can use that to slow things down and say, say I'm talking about FOMO. FOMO is a problem for all these reasons. And it's really bad because of this. You throw the Billy Bob in there, people lean into the Billy Bob. You're talking more quietly. There's almost a whisper. It's menacing. It makes people sit up and pay attention. So I want to just share that with you because I believe that many of us, we tend to, in meetings or if we're giving a talk, we tend to do the more up version of ourselves, which is totally good. You need some of that to convey energy. But if you then vary that with a little Billy Bob Thornton, you will be able to retain people's attention and emphasize important points in a way that you might not have done otherwise. So that is the power. It's like by doing a little less. It's not that the intensity isn't there. There is intensity. But you're doing less, and therefore people are focused and pulled in a different way than if you're just doing the normal extroverted kind of up person. That is the power of Billy Bob Thornton, at least on Fargo. I don't know. I mean, I guess many of his performances. So think about that one. I'm going to be using it. It really is. I've been trying. It's really interesting. Like you go to, say you're at somebody's house, you're at a dinner party or a cocktail party and you're talking to people. Deploy the Billy Bob. People actually lean in. It works. Okay. So that is my advice to you based on what I learned from Frank Colombati. So check it out. Try it and let me know what you think. You can reach me at letsconnect@patrickmcginnis.com, on Instagram at Patrick J. McGinnis, on Twitter if people still go there, which I don't think they do anymore. I'm going to stop saying Twitter pretty soon because according to everything I'm reading, it's done. But you can still go there at PJ McGinnis if you like it. I don't know. I don't go very often, but DMs are still good. And of course, check out the commercial. You can find it on my Instagram. You can find it on my LinkedIn. You can go to ads.mercadolibre.com.ar. You can just Google it. You can go to Fran's page, just all the places. It's there. All right, everybody. We'll be back on Thursday with Melinda Ahrens, who is talking about, she's very interesting. She's a journalist. She was involved in actually producing the January 6th hearings on Capitol Hill in DC. So she understands how to take complex things and simplify them and make them compelling stories. We're going to talk about that, which is a super skill everybody needs. Obviously, Frank Colombati has it too. And I will see you on Thursday. All right. And until then, take care of yourselves. FOMO Sapiens. FOMO. If you like today's show, please be sure to rate it and recommend it to your friends. And as always, you can find me on Instagram at Patrick J. McGinnis, on Twitter at PJ McGinnis, and on the web at FOMOSapiens.com or PatrickMcGinnis.com, where you can get all kinds of free resources to live a more decisive and entrepreneurial life. FOMO. Want more FOMO Sapiens and FOMOnday? Head over to FOMOSapiens.com where you can listen to past episodes, learn more about the show, and find out how to advertise. You can also connect with me on Instagram at Patrick J. McGinnis and on Twitter at PJ McGinnis.